What's up, guys? I am James Hake. This is 9:01 a.m. U.S. Pacific Standard Time here in Los Angeles. And it is Monday, January 10th, 2022, the year of our Lord, Anno Domini. And I have a fun, loosey-goosey Monday show for you. Hope you had a nice weekend. I did. I will tell you a little bit about it, including this past Friday. Make sure you catch the Anchor Babies new show. I'll tell you how to find it. A lot of scaremongering about the virus and the vax and this mess, and about misinformation from the chief people who push lies, which is no big new lesson for us, but I want to talk about it. And I have a horror story to talk about, too, with something that somebody did as a young person, and then they regretted it. Isn't there like a website called sexchangeregret.com or something like that? And I think that guy may have been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. But all of that and the phony mess going on in America, which should not be copying other countries, but they're doing it because they're dumb and evil. And of course, your calls always welcome. By the way, I heard that Nick, the Anchor Baby, he got a call from Black Victoria. You guys know Black Victoria? Maybe many of you don't. I'm jealous. She's never called my show, I don't think. Maybe she has. But anyway, guys, different time of day. Let's get right on with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, guys, how are you doing? I am fine. I saw somebody ask, where's the rebel flag? I had covered it up with this, who is this? Continental Soldier of the Revolution. A little postcard from a friend of mine. And that was for the Hippy Dippy podcast. When I go on other people's platforms, and they're on Twitch, somebody told me, it was a communist who told me it, that Twitch does not allow this, even though I'm on Twitch. Don't tell anybody. Twitch does not allow the beautiful American rebel flag. They think it's a hate symbol or something. Hake's voice still cracking, and he's 40. I'm growing. What's up, Robert Lee? Robert Lee. Shout out, man. And so I cover it up when I go on other platforms because I don't want to get them banned unnecessarily, right? What a mess. But on my show, I display the beautiful rebel flag. How are you guys doing? I forgot to say my deep voice, hey guys. You know what I mean? I hope you guys had a nice weekend. I did. Let me tell you what I did over the weekend since this past Friday. Fun Friday evening and fun, nice weekend. Had a nice Sabado, which is Spanish for Saturday, which is short for Sabbath, which is like a day of rest. I rested on Saturday. I did a little bit of exercise, but I didn't do work. Minimal, anyway. Toward the end, I guess after sunset you can do work again, right? Because according to the Jewish tradition, I guess the next day starts at sundown. So I guess I didn't break the Sabbath by coming into the bond office on Saturday. But look, I'll tell you about that in a second. Shout out to Nick for the Anchor Babies new show. Did you guys catch it? Did you guys hear it? I recommend checking it out. He went 2 hours. My first show with Joel and Esteban, I went 1 hour, and we barely made it. And it was echoing like crazy. It was a mess. We didn't know what we were doing. Nick had it all all professional. He had like at least 200 people tuning in too. We had like 16. But shout out to Nick. It was a great first show. Well, at least I caught the first 45 minutes of it, and I skipped ahead and caught at least the beginning of Black Victoria called in. I'm jealous. And he heard from Maze, too, my favorite caller, calling in to Nick, the anchor baby. That's Jesse Lee Peterson's producer, if you're not already familiar. He did a flashback of his Man on the Street. Better than Slightly Offensive, and I like Slightly Offensive. Reporting and footage of the Santa Monica riots at the end of May 2020. Wow, it was a nice throwback. I saw Dylon, my former de facto producer. I saw Chris with his... he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt in the middle of the Black Lives Matter riots. Wow. Brave man. White man. And he didn't get hit in the head. There was a white guy who got hit in the head, I remember, because I was watching the footage. And I don't know if he played the clip of the white guy getting hit in the head by Black Lives Matter people. But there was a white guy who got hit in the head by a Black Lives Matter, and then with a bat, like an aluminum bat, if I remember right, or something. And then the guy was all looking back at him, mad dogging him. Evil people, an attack upon the whites. What a shame, huh? I was in the Church with Jesse Lee Peterson service, and he asked the question, do you feel like the world is against you? And I see that the world is against whites, against Christians, against the truth, against men, all men, especially even the males who are just male enough to be hated, right? But I don't really take it personally. That's just my little thing, because I don't think of it as being like against me. I think of it as being against what's right. Even though I am white, I am male, I am a Christian, I am purportedly for the truth, right? Wow. But anyway, that was Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific time till 7. Nice, huh? He talked about being an anchor baby, too. That was cool. And the fact that he shouldn't even be here. Although evil people meant this whole anchor baby thing for evil to subvert the country, yet God brings about good even in the evil. Isn't that cool? I have a friend of mine reminded me of that. Although you meant it for evil, yet God used it for good. I have to get back to that, because I mentioned that with Joseph and the coat of many colors and his brothers who betrayed him. You know, the 12 tribes of Israel, their forefathers, Gad, Asher, Judah, all those other people, Benjamin. I don't know, Benjamin may not have betrayed Joseph, because they were true brothers, full brothers. They're different brothers by different mothers. Psh, maybe they were black. I'm just playing around. Lots coming up. Oh, by the way, on Saturday, I was supposed to appear. It was a last-minute thing, okay? So don't blame me for being a poor promoter, although I accept the criticism. There is some truth to that, but I've changed. I am starting to promote my appearances on other platforms. But I was supposed to appear last minute. It was like 3:30 or something like that, p.m., my time. And I get a Twitter DM. I'm bad about Twitter DMs, but I happened to just see it. Maybe God opened my eyes. Modern Day Debate messaged me, right? The Hake Report. And he's all, hey, do you want to be on a debate tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific time? About systemic racism versus Hunter Avallone, or however you pronounce that guy's name. Hunter Avallone. I heard that he used to be a Trump supporter, and then he turned liberal. He's a young guy. I'm like, ooh. And then I'm like, sure. And he said, can you do 5 p.m.? I'm like, sure. And this is like less than an hour and a half until 5 p.m., right? So I'm like, I got to shower and shave. So I showered, shaved, and got over to the office. The anchor baby happened to be here, so he set me up in the studio. I was going to be stuck on my earbuds at my desk, all amateur. And No, Nick set me up on here. I connected over Skype. It's like 5, 4, 3 minutes till showtime. 2 minutes, 1 minute till showtime. And Hunter Avalone can't make it after all. So we rescheduled and we were going to debate systematic racism. Is systematic racism real? Or systemic racism? Take your pick, right? It's right up my alley. Because I know it's not. And every example of, the discrepancies or the divergence of outcomes, if you will, between the blacks and the whites, and even the divergence of policy, right? The segregation policy and all that stuff, it's not racist. It just reflects on how people were dealing with stuff. And the stuff that makes the blacks look like victims in the liberals' mind makes the blacks look bad in my mind. In the reality. Like prison, disproportionately filling up the prisons and out-of-wedlock births and crime and all that stuff just makes them look bad. And people not wanting to hire them is because they have a bad attitude. Anyway, I was ready to debate him, but he couldn't make it. So we rescheduled for MLK Day. No day better than MLK Day to discuss the imaginary existence of systematic racism. Nice. But I do have other stuff coming up. This Wednesday, I have a guest, I think, scheduled, Dylan Burns, on my show. And then Fanatique, the black guy, the pianist. He's been on my show before. He was on The Fallen State. Going to be on his show. He's a Twitch streamer. Talking about January 6th, the ridiculous stuff, the ridiculous melodrama about January 6th. This coming weekend, I'm going to be in Dallas, Texas at the Modern Day DebateCon Dallas 2022. Is it the very first debate convention? I'm going to be on a couple of debates on next Sunday. But catch church, guys. Church with Jesse Lee Peterson. But one of them is going to be right after church, and one of them is going to be like right before and maybe encroaching into church. But tune into church with Jesse Lee Peterson. Talking about how many genders are there. Is the left progressing or regressing? Regressing, I don't even think that's the right word for it. They're just degenerating. And they're pushing that stuff on us. And I'll be against Destiny on a panel on trans rights and critical race theory. Nice. Cool, huh? I'm also going to talk on The Crucible about systemic racism, so-called systemic racism, next Thursday, a week from Thursday. So anyway, thank you. By the way, I have to thank you guys, the Snake Pit fans, supporters, and fiends, for going into the chit chat on these other people's Twitch and YouTube and all that stuff, because thank you guys. That the hosts notice that you guys are in there. Willie Powell, I see you in there, and these other guys. That's cool. And gals, thank you. The hosts and the mods notice, especially if you're on your P's and minding your P's and Q's. Setting a good example. Very cool. When you can, I appreciate it. Watch responsibly. Some of it is not for kids. I'll tell you that much. Not for kids. But thank you guys. Appreciate that. I will read some super chats, guys, shortly here. Thank you very much. Shout out to the Odyssey crew. odyssey.com/@the-Hake Report. And, of course, your calls, 888-775-3773. I am wearing JesseLeePeterson.com, the Great Black Hope t-shirt. Shout out to Lock Your Door. Thank you, man, for the cool design. Get yours if you want one, or you can get a hoodie or whatever you like, sweatshirt. From the Bond store, rebuildingtheman.com/stores. Very cool. By the way, Get a Job stickers are at teespring.com/stores/get a job. He's put out like 80 episodes of Jesse Lee Peterson Savage Moments. That's cool. I have to share this with you before I get to, you know what? Let me just get to this call. I have some calls to get to, but let me get to one. And then I'll get to this contrived fact check about the hype about the virus. It's ridiculous. But Travis is a first-time caller out of the UK, and he has a question about the beautiful rebel flag. Travis, how are you doing?
Hey, lad.
Hey.
I'm doing okay.
Oh, this guy.
I noticed that you guys talk about racism not existing, but you have that flag on your laptop.
Why are you calling under a fake name from a fake location?
Pardon me?
Why are you calling from a fake name and from a fake location? Why are you lying?
I don't understand.
You don't understand that I'm calling you a liar?
You say racism doesn't exist, but yet you have that flag.
You don't understand that I'm calling you a liar?
You're the liar because you say racism doesn't exist.
I'm a liar, but you're calling under a fake, which you guys, if you don't want to give your real name and stuff like that, that's fine. But this guy calls under different names every time, and he's really trying to, and he's really thinking that he's going to deceive me or deceive you guys. Yeah, yes, Malkuth, I think it's that guy. You're a mess.
You can't tell us about the flag?
I can, but why don't you want to deal with the fact that you're lying?
You're the one who says racism doesn't exist.
Yeah, why don't you want to deal with the fact that you're lying? Admit you're lying, and we can move on.
So that you
admit you're lying, and we can move forward.
So were you one of Jesse's victims?
Admit you're lying, and we can move forward.
Eventually, you're going to have to fight.
All right, goodbye. What a mess. But does anybody want to hear my take on this beautiful rebel flag? You can press 1. If you already know about it, press 2. That flag isn't racist. It honors Southern roots and heritage, says Butch. Yeah. Just be straightforward, man. Oh, I thought it was really somebody from the UK. I do hear from the UK sometimes. But, yeah, that guy's a snake. Yeah, it's fake accent. Anyway, oh, I got a 1 from TJ. Okay, so I got some 2s from the people in the chat. Anchor Baby's new show, press 1. Okay, all right. I'm seeing mostly 2s, but I'll tell you. All right. So let me just press talk. Okay, so I am showing this beautiful rebel flag, sometimes referred to as the Confederate battle flag. I think the real Confederate battle flag was a square. This one is rectangular, meaning it has a long horizontal sides. And that flag represents the beautiful South. And it should represent unity for America. Love for the beautiful South. Some of the best people in the world are from the South. There are a lot of snakes in the South, too, I admit. At least today there are. I don't know, perhaps back then, too. Evil's always existed everywhere, right? But the beautiful South is home to many real American heroes, including the great General Robert E. Lee. And there was a General Nathan Bedford Forrest, who I think was a solid guy. I think I've heard one of the greatest presidents, I think it may have been one of Trump's favorite presidents, was the first Democrat, believe it or not. Democrats were not always as evil as they are today. They are pure evil today. I don't know if there is one Democrat who is truly decent in America today. There may be some who are like, some like Democrat voters who are like going to wake up soon because they're decent at heart, and then they'll realize that they're supporting evil and they'll snap out of it. That does happen. But Andrew Jackson, I believe he was a nationalist, right? He loved America. I like the South is known for having had slavery, right? And Jim Crow, which was a bunch of rules and laws about separating the blacks from the whites, and basically keeping it so that the whites there were running the show, as far as I understand, which they're the ones who were found in those areas, right? They founded those areas, so they should run the show. But Slavery is not this melodramatic, oh, terrible human rights violation that they pretend that there was. There's no such thing, first of all, as human rights. I know that I don't want to be force vaccinated, so I do understand what it means to be a slave. I know how the slaves felt. I don't want this forced vaccination. I know how the slaves felt. But there were honorable slave masters who are much more honorable than the Democrats or the rhinos today. And the Washington Compost did this little thing about there were like 1,000 or 1,100 or however many thousands, maybe more than 10,000 congressmen who were slave owners or something like that. Maybe not congressmen, because were that many congressmen in history? I don't know. But give me a break. Give me a break. The Washington Compost needs to be deported. And shame on the Washington Compost for naming themselves after what I think was an honorable man, George Washington. Also a slave owner and an honorable man, I think. So, I love the beautiful South. To this day, there are Southerners, white and black, many of them honorable men who fly this flag. The NASCAR fans
to this day
love this flag and love America, and they are more American than the people who hate the flag and call them traitors and losers. How are you going to want national unity the way that Abraham Lincoln supposedly did, and then just turn around and smear your fellow Americans? It's ridiculous. It's more insulting when you see a Mexican flag or Armenian flag or Turkish flag or whatever flag from these foreigners who come here and fly their flags. You know what I mean? They do that stuff. And they have the freedom of speech, but then they want to clamp down on this beautiful, and Twitch, I think, is an American company. And NASCAR is supposedly an American company, but they've turned anti-American to pander to the false anger, misplaced anger, anger's always misplaced, of the blacks who think, and the people who hate whites, who pretend, oh, that's a racist hate symbol. You're the haters. Anyway, that's why I do it in defiance, in rebellion, and to show love. I heard that James Madison was a Democratic Republican. Is that the same as a rhino today? I don't know. I kind of doubt it. Anyway, let me tell you about, before I get to the super chats and the rest of the calls, you can call in. 888-775-3773. Here is this silly story from, let me drag this in. From Twitter. Twitter, the publisher, you know? Far left propagandist, Twitter. They pretend to fact check. So fake. This is from January 8th. I think that was, Saturday? There is no evidence of pandemic mass formation psychosis. And this is a reference to a viral interview on a podcast, Joe Rogan podcast, by Dr. Robert Malone. I think he's the scientist who came up with mRNA technology, messenger RNA, messenger ribonucleic acid technology, which changes your DNA, right? Something like that. I think he's the one who came up with it, but they dismiss him as a scientist who once researched mRNA technology. But is now a vocal skeptic of the COVID-19 vaccinations that use it. He used the term mass formation psychosis on a podcast. That's the Joe Rogan podcast. He's a competitor. He's an okay guy. For a far-left liberal, Obama-loving, Clinton-loving Democrat who relocated to go subvert Texas. But anyway, I like the guy. He's a likable person, I guess. So they're doing a fact check on this. Mass formation psychosis is not an academic term, Okay, that's a point in favor of it, right? Recognized in the field of psychology. Psychology is a fake field, right? It's a fake science, not a valid science. Although I respect some psychologist people. Nor because it was formed basically to subvert Christianity by the communists, by the way. It was to secularize our understanding of the world so that when we're dealing with mental issues, we don't look to common sense, wisdom, simplicity, doubt all thoughts, don't get into your head, stop thinking about it, types like stay in the present, stay with God, do not worry, pray, have fathers, commonsensical, basic truth that everybody knows or should know but forgot. Stuff that J.C. Lee Peterson preaches all the time, and rightly. They want to refer you to a psychologist. Oh, it's just your brain balance is all messed up. So they refer you to the psychiatrist to give you drugs. Psychology is an excuse for bad behavior. Yeah, they plead not guilty by reason of insanity. Dumb. They say, nor is there any evidence of any such phenomenon occurring during the China virus pandemic, say multiple experts in crowd psychology, according to Reuters, far-left Reuters, who are enemies of America, and the far-left extremist Associated Press. Those are two outlets who their whole mission is to go against Trump, against truth, against Christians, against whites, against men. They support the fake Me Too movement. They support feminism. They support this anti-racism thing, which is against whites and against the truth. They pretend that illegal aliens are not illegal aliens. They changed the name of illegal aliens to be undocumented immigrants or something like that. They can't even call things what they are. They call transgenders by their preferred pronouns, but rather than the real pronouns, right? If it's a male person pretending to be a female who thinks he's a female, they go along with the delusion. It's wrong. That's a disservice. I was on the Hippy Dippy podcast, and at the beginning of the show, Dylan Burns, who appeared on The Fallen State with J.C. Lee Peterson, he said, we respect pronouns on this show. And of course, on Twitch, you're supposed to, right? But that's different from respecting the people, because you're not showing respect for the people by respecting their fake pronouns. You're showing respect for the people by calling them what they are or not going along with it, right? Right. Anyway, Robert Malone. Mass formation psychosis, an unfounded theory spreading online, suggests millions of people have been hypnotized. Very true. Into believing, except it was fact-checked, guys, okay? So it's not true. That's for Twitter. Into believing mainstream ideas to combat the China virus, such as, let's do these shutdowns so everybody gains 20 pounds, or, on average, people gain 20 pounds of fat, and that's healthy. Don't go outside. Stay indoors. Stay safer at home. Don't get your sunshine. Don't go to the gym and get fit. Get fat. Watch Netflix. Be a degenerate. Drink alcohol. All that stuff that hurts your immune system, right? Get vaxxed. Don't get fit. When in reality, if people were getting fit over the past year, I think that would be far better. And continue to work, right? And not do these shutdowns. Then I think we would be better off and we wouldn't be having an economic thing. Anyway. The phrase did not appear in the American Psychological Association or Dictionary of Psychology or the PsychNet database of published research articles, says Reuters. That's because those people are not about truth. The APA, American Psychological Association, they came out with the DSM or something like that. Some book of problems, right, that you can have. And those people in the 70s decided that the death and spiritual delusion, psycho-spiritual delusion of homosexuality. Oh, it's not a mental illness anymore. It is something else. Ridiculous, huh? Ridiculous. And everybody knows that people are brainwashed in a lot of ways. For example, the imaginary racism brainwashing. And so, and people are nuts about masks and distancing and the vaccine. And I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a little concerning what is going on in the world with these forced vaccinations. I call them forced vaccinations. I'll talk about that in a bit. There was a great athlete, the greatest tennis athlete in the world to this day, and maybe ever, is a Serbian man, and I shall talk about him and some people who've died recently. And I just wonder about these people who have died. So, but let me get to LUKA, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, a first-time caller in Indiana. How are you doing, LUKA?
Hey, good to be on the show, Hake.
Nice. I didn't know. Have you not called before?
Nope, first time.
Right on.
So I just wanted to say, like, I'm coming from the liberal side. I used to be pretty liberal and all about, socialism because I was lazy and I was a beta male.
Really?
And then
How old are you?
I got away. 40. Just turned 40.
Wow, me too.
Months ago.
I just turned 40 almost 6 months ago.
You born in 81?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
We're the year of the rooster.
Nice. That's right on.
So just coming from that side, always was Democrat like my father. I got away from my ex-wife and I started doing my own research. And, I saw some of those Trump videos like Savage Moments and all those. And I noticed how real he talks and what he was saying and how he cares about life, because I've always considered myself really pro-life, and I'm a vegan, and I'm just all about not killing any life.
No animals nor babies. That's cool. I can respect that.
Which I know is like contradictory because a lot of liberals love killing babies.
Right.
But, I also don't believe in the death penalty and things. So I came from that side, and I got away from it thanks to you and Trump and Jesse Lee Peterson and people like Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
And so you were just talking about health and, being fit, getting that exercise, getting the sunshine instead of getting vaxxed. I'm definitely never going to get vaxxed. I'm all about being natural. So I just wanted, the discussion that I think not eating animal products and, all these fats and saturated fats and things that get stuck in your colon, we can scientifically prove.
Wow.
If people went to a all-organic, raw vegan diet, I think we would have a lot better health in this country. But I agree with everything else you and Jesse say, shouldn't have kids out of wedlock. The whole Democratic liberal movement is destroying the black community and, creating all these brainwashed protesters like Black Lives Matter and Antifa, and they're just destroying the nation. And I used to want to get out of America too, but now I realize it's the only free country left. It's the only country still has free speech. And so I love America now, and it's thanks to people like you and Jesse Lee Peterson. So thank you very much. And I don't know how you feel about the vegan stuff.
I'd like
to hear your opinion.
That's up to you, man. I know some people I know one lady who's called my show who tried being vegan, and according to her, it really messed her up because I don't know what it really was. But
yeah, and I've heard about that too. I think some people don't know about hemp seeds and chia seeds and flax seeds, which is, really good in omega 6, 3, and 9, which the only other meat you can find that in is fish. But yeah, there's a lot of poison, mercury in the water, and with factory farms, I just think a lot of meat is tainted these days. But anyway,
Yeah.
I can see that side of it. And I definitely appreciate just freedom to choose, freedom to choose not to be vaccinated, freedom to choose to eat meat if you want to, or
Yeah.
don't eat meat. So
That's cool, man.
I love that you and Jesse are preaching freedom and preaching life and preaching God and love. So thank you for all you do.
Nice, man. It's great to hear from you. LUKA,
Great to
LUKA,
hear
is that correct?
Yeah,
What-
I do music online, so everybody check out my songs sometime.
Okay. Where are you from that your name is LUKA, out of curiosity? Or where are your family from?
Croatian. Croatian. You were just talking about a Serbian athlete.
Yeah.
It's from the same country that used to exist in Yugoslavia.
Oh, okay.
And then the Serbians came in and ethnically cleansed the Croatians, apparently under Bill Clinton, and he did nothing about it.
Wow.
Because he's evil.
Luka Modric was a Croatian soccer player, or is a Croatian soccer? Modric.
Yeah, we're some good soccer players.
Have any Croatians collapsed on the field like other soccer players have collapsed on the field?
I don't know.
Have you heard about that?
I don't watch sports
Oh,
because
okay.
I think it's just created to divide and distract us. But,
True.
It can also be a good way to spend your time.
Yeah, I don't really I never really watched sports, whether basketball or football or soccer or any of that stuff. I preferred to play it. I would get bored and restless watching it, but some of my friends did. Anyway,
yeah,
man.
me too. I prefer to play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you. I guess I didn't really have a question other than to say,
No
keep
problem.
up the great work.
Cool.
And, yeah, don't let the haters get you down.
No, sir.
Yeah, I used to be all like, oh, gays are fine too, but now I realize how much it's destroying people and how they're pushing it on the children and how this trans movement is really dangerous for people. I mean, there's a large suicide rate, not because people are picking on them, but because, they chop off their body part and now they can't find it because it's in the trash somewhere.
Yeah, it's a real shame. It's a total
It
disservice. These are wolves in
there's
sheep's
so many
clothing who are
subjects.
pro that.
Oh, yeah. And they're all disguised as trying to be polite and trying to be kind and nice, and that's how I got into it in the first place. But it's anything but that. It's all the mainstream pushing it from the top.
Yeah.
These evil people from behind the scenes.
The mama spirit that goes along with evil and enables and encourages evil.
Yeah, you got to forgive your mother and return to the father. That was the best knowledge I ever gained from Jesse Lee.
Right on, man.
Even though my parents are always pushing the vax on my sister and I love them with all my heart now, and it feels so good to not, be at odds with my father anymore.
Nice. Croatians are Slavs, is that true?
Yeah, we're Slavic.
So the Serbians are not Slavic?
I don't know. That's a good question.
But they were ethnically cleansing you? Are Serbians and Croatians both so-called white?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we're kind of in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Not totally brown, but
okay.
Not totally white.
So are the Serbians whiter than the Croatians on average?
Well, Weird Al Yankovic looks whiter than me, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and
I think they're a little lighter skinned than the Croats.
Okay. Huh.
And now it's like Croatia, Serbia, and a few others instead of Yugoslavia because of all that.
Yeah.
Mess.
Yep. That's the world. Well, it's good to hear from you, man. Well, call me again sometime.
So good to hear from you. Keep it up.
All right. Thank you. You too.
Later.
Bye. Serbians are mixed, says taking care of business. I feel like calling him taking care of business bear, but it's just taking care of business. Shout out to the Bears, right? Cool guys. Before I get to John in Arizona, I got to get to some of these super chats. We are being overwhelmed, and that's a nice thing. I appreciate it. With, Serbians have Turkish blood. Turk blood? Turkish delight? Super chats, guys. It is time for the super chats. I got quite a few. And I have other calls to get to as well, not just John. But listen to some of these. These are These are interesting. Willie Powell says, it was great seeing you debating on the hippity table, Hake. They are not a match for you. No match for you. Keep crushing them. Well, thank you, Willie Powell. And I appreciate you joining into the live chat and adding some positivity into the chat. That's cool. Very nice. Based America First with the super chat on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Several super chats. Thank you, sir. Great panel discussion last Friday. That's the Hippy Dippy Roundtable on January 6th. 1 year later, Biden's first year, Sleazy Joe, which is basically Obama continued, and Marjorie Greene's Twitter ban. These people don't believe in free speech. They don't have the spirit of the freedom of speech. And it's funny because Destiny, he doesn't care, right? He's been banned from places. I mean, he was banned from Twitter when Jesse first interviewed him on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. Did you know that? I guess because he has a little bit of sense. And so people with a little bit of sense or independent voice, they get banned. Or if you say that's the C word for cracker, for white, then you get banned on Twitch. So those people don't have sense. Base America First, thank you, sir. The panel had 3 female people of color. Merrick, which is Mur, the actual woman. The Paradigm Shift, the black dude, but he's calling him a female person of color. And Merrick, I think she was white, but maybe she was something, but maybe on the inside she's not white, not so white on the inside. And Destiny, calling him a female person of color. Drinking game words, actually and literally. Drinking game words, which Base America First is not a drinker. Don't be getting the wrong idea, but it's the drinking game. Anytime you hear actually and literally, you gotta take a sip of water and you will flush out your whole system with as many times as they said actually and literally. There's not enough super chat money to describe all of the craziness. Good times. Mur, for example, the lady, and I use the term a bit loosely. She was kind of nasty. Like, she started off nasty with me because I interrupted her with a little side comment like, pff, like whatever, or something like that. And she's all, excuse me, don't interrupt me. I am talking. You can just shut up. And I said something else. And she's all, you're just mad because I put you in your place and I'm a woman. Something like that. She's just making up stuff out of her imagination. Oh, woman. And a nasty woman at that. But I think she liked me by the end. Murr says, January 6th was a coordinated attack on democracy by white supremacists because she found a rando website with anonymous posts. And she was misnaming 8chan, by the way. Also, Marjorie Greene should be banned from Twitter because she repeats unverifiable information from rando websites. Yeah, rando meaning random. Commies, Base America First goes on, have no understanding of economics. They don't pay for government largesse, so they don't care. They tout Biden's success using fake low unemployment numbers, but government is using debt spending to pay people not to work and not to be counted as unemployed. That's what Obama was doing. That's why I say this is Obama continued. Base America First goes on. Mara asks Hake, this woman, over there on the Hippy Dippy Roundtable. And you can find that by going to thehakereport.com/appearances. Or you can find it by going to Hake's YouTube channel, Hake, and get down, there is a Hake's appearances on other shows playlist. And they're all there. By the way, my appearances on Modern Day Debate are that are upcoming for this weekend in the Dallas debate convention thing. Those are members only if you're going to try to watch it on YouTube. So you would have to join the Modern Day Debate YouTube channel, which you might want to consider doing. He has me on a lot. He's had Jesse Lee Peterson on, and he seems like a decent guy, for sure. James Coons over there at Modern Day Debate. And you can join in person over there at the debate convention. I'll be there Sunday. I may be there part of Saturday. I mean, I'm flying in on Saturday. Debate convention. I've shared it on my Twitter and on my Telegram, t.me/The Hake Report. There is an Eventbrite listing, and you can buy tickets if you want to attend in person. That's cool. But Based America First says, Mirror asks Hake if all social spending is communist. He says yes. Hake says yes. Infrastructure is a commie buzzword to control people, foment hatred, and distract from waste. Satan tells Murr to DM the conservative men. They're sexy, so they'll be nicer to her. What the? I don't think she DM'd me that. But anyway, interesting. Is that true? Base America First says Burns, meaning Dylan Burns, asks Hake, he's the debate moderator, if he can guess who is the most evil person on the panel. Hake responds he doesn't think that it works that way, and then reluctantly points down to Merrick. Merrick's Twitter bio self-describes her using the specific word evil. Spot on as usual. Wow. Thank you, Based America First. And Bad Bibby42 says, Hake, awesome debate on Friday. I'm so glad you put that Merrick woman in her place, or whatever her name is. I don't know who was worse, her or that paradigm shift guy. He's black. And he respected me afterwards too, because I speak my mind, right? Just because they talk loud and use buzzwords doesn't make them right on anything. Lord Bibby42 says, I see you have an upcoming debate with Hunter Avalone. Avalone. Talk about a slimy, dirty, sneaky snake. According to Lord Bibby42. I don't know anything about him. Except that supposedly he was a former Trump supporter, I guess. And he seems to be a young guy. He is all blanket statements and surface-level arguments. There is no substance in anything he says. Watch out for that one, Hake. Well, thank you for the heads up, Lord Bibby42. He also says, Hake, also, Mays was actually quite pleasant on Nick's show. Mays, my favorite caller from Dayton, Ohio, the sundown town. Watch out for that Knight Rider. Blazing Hogs. I heard Blazing Hogs was on another show, a Sunday show. The Cross Stream. Is that true? I think so. I'll have to check that out. I think she may have finally gotten off the smack. She had some good advice too. Good for you, Maze. Wow, that's kind, Lord Bibby42, who also says, just a reminder, we have until Friday with your sideburn challenge. Let's get a look. Hake, $100 for bond, and also happy birthday. Anybody want to do a matching donation and match Lord Bibby42's, or you guys want to pitch in to match Lord Bibby42's donation to bond? Since I am, is this humiliation? Putting my growing my sideburns out, or does it look pretty good? Sideburns, that's when you grow out the whisker hair on the side of your face, in front of your ears. I think everybody knows what sideburns are. But yeah, to match this thing. Somebody called it a lower lip tail. The soul patch, which is a 90s white man thing, okay? It's not black. Some people say it's from the blacks. Whatever. So anyway, quickly, let me get to John in Arizona. John, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing well, Hake. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine too. Thank you, sir.
This just to remind you, this is the grammar Nazi.
Okay.
I'd like to think I helped you overcome the anyways.
Oh, okay. Cool. Right on.
I don't know if you remember that or not. Anyway.
I do remember somebody telling me that, and it must have been you.
I think it was. But I wanted to talk to you real quickly about this, the idea that the U.S. was founded on Judeo-Christian principles, when actually it was Christian principles. All the founding fathers were Christians. Everyone who signed the Declaration of Independence were Christians except for one, and he described himself as I think it was either Pentecostal or Episcopalian, which is kind of basically the same thing.
It's
but
supposed
it's
to be a
Jewish.
Christian, right? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I thought that those were supposed to be Christians. Somebody, the atheists all say that some of them were deists, meaning they believe that there was a God. Isn't that what deist means?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so you're saying they all were, huh?
Everyone.
That's
on the
cool.
Declaration, when they signed the Declaration, they all wrote in whether, what their denomination was, whether they were Christian or whatever.
Okay.
And there wasn't one Jew, that every single one except for one was a Christian, And the
Yeah.
only reason I say except for one is because that's the way he described himself.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, right on, man. I
So
appreciate
just
that.
a little history there for you.
I totally
And,
accept that. I don't think of it as, oh, Jews helped us form America. I like Jesse's explanation of it because he doesn't mean it the way that other people mean it. Because Jesse Lee Peterson says we are a Judeo-Christian nation.
Well, yeah, we are.
He says it. I mean, we are now, right? But not necessarily a good way. But he means
Well,
it
yeah.
in that Christianity came from Jesus, who came through from he was a descendant of King David, who was from the tribe of Judah, right? So
Okay.
if there were no Judaism, there would be no Christianity. I mean, it was God's chosen people, the Israelites, right? Abraham was chosen by God according to the Bible, and through him were God's people, but many of God's people were not God's people. And then through Jesus, he saved people from all different nations. So I like
Yeah.
Jesse's explanation of that. Do you hold that against him at all?
Oh, no.
Right on, man.
The only thing, like I said, I just wanted to make the point that our founding fathers, and when the way this country was founded, it wasn't founded on Judeo-Christian principles. It was founded on Christian principles.
Right.
So that was my only point. I wasn't, I'm not trying to argue with anybody about what we are now.
I know.
Just how we started.
Yeah. That's cool, man. I appreciate it. John from Arizona.
Right.
Good to hear from you.
Yep. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Take care. I saw something in the chat that I wanted to address, but I don't remember what it was. Anyway, let me tell you about this man, and I don't know anything about him other than this, but call me a lightweight fan. No-vax Novak Djokovic. Novak, a Serbian man. Djokovic, Djokovic. He appealed Australia. You know that horrible prison country? It's basically a prison country worse than it was when they were a bunch of when it was a prison island. They're Australia's visa cancellation following controversy over his China virus vaccine exemption, medical exemption, to play at the Australian Open. And so Twitter is pushing this out. The far left female run outlet, The Skim. You may know about this. I told you about it before, I think in the Hake Report as well as in Hake News, that this young man, he is the top, according to the reports, the top tennis player in the world. A man, of course. Women aren't, I think the top woman isn't even in the top 60, wouldn't even beat the top 60 men. Maybe not even the top 200 men. I could be wrong. In terms of women's tennis, just a side note, but he got this, the Australian Open, which is this huge tennis tournament, granted him a medical exemption because, according to him, he'd already been infected with the virus, right? And anyway, he's a young man. He's not going around old folks. He's playing other young men in tennis. And correct me if I'm wrong, on the tennis court, you're by yourself. You're not even... Serena Williams played the 200th ranked male. Wow. Did she lose? Serena Williams she lost. Oh, man. I would not want to play against Serena Williams, but he beat her, the 200th ranked male in the world. He was smoking a cigarette during changeovers. Anyway, where was I? This guy has spoken against the vaccine because he's against being forced to take it, right? Because he's a young man, he's healthy, and it shouldn't be forced. And Australia is unreasonable. A judge admitted that the Australian government has been unreasonable. He got an exemption from the tournament, but the government itself said, no, your type of visa can't allow for a medical exemption. You have to be so-called vaccinated. And who knows what will happen to this man. Maybe it's supposedly rare, but a lot of young men get some type of heart inflammation, myocarditis or pericarditis or something like that. And I don't know what it's about. I don't know what's causing it, but we've heard about soccer players collapsing on the field with like heart attacks and things. I don't know if that has anything to do with the vaccine, but those guys do happen to be so-called vaccinated. So I don't know what's going on. I haven't heard about other pro athletes collapsing or anything, but soccer is a little bit of a rougher one. One of the guys, though, he was a black dude, and the blacks seem to disproportionately suffer from this China virus, so probably also from the vaccine is my guess. I don't know. But I thought that was because they tend to be less healthy. As I haven't really heard of gym rats dying from the virus, right? Those blacks who are at the gym, they're all jacked all the time. They're like fit. Those guys aren't really suffering from the virus that I know of. But I think it was a goalie I saw like shaking on the field. Crazy. And a goalie isn't usually running around so much. What a shame. I saw this on Vincent James's channel, Real Vincent James over there on Telegram, t.me/Real Vincent James. There was this guy who was like triple or whatever vaccinated. He has a foreigner, right? A foreign news reporter. He collapsed on camera. Yikes. Crazy. Anyway, the Australian government's been unreasonable according to a judge. Sounds like a nice judge. We could use a judge like him here in America, right? The immigration minister could still cancel this guy's visa, though, keeping him from playing in the Australian Open and also banning him from Australia for 3 years. Did you know that I think that if you have a DUI, driving under the influence, you can't go at least for like 3 years or something, or maybe longer. You can't even go to Australia, I heard. Wouldn't that be nice if America like kicked people out for getting DUIs? Because there's a lot of illegals who are getting DUIs and they're not deported because that's considered like a low-level crime. And in many cases, they're killing people. And in some cases, that's considered murder. You get behind the wheel, start driving and you're drunk, and you're so out of it that you crash into somebody. Crazy. So according to Drudge, this Australian judge says Djokovic can stay, but the saga is not over. He tweets in both English and Serbian or whatever they speak, saying he hopes to participate. Is he a Christian? Are Serbians Christian? Salute. But right on to him. Congratulations. I hope you get to play. He's looking to win his 21st major title, which would put him ahead of Federer, who is like a supposedly good guy, and some other guy who's supposedly a good guy. I used to know these names. Back when I was in high school and right after high school, it was Pete Sampras, and it was that other guy who's bald, and he was married to this model woman for a while. I'm blanking on his name, but he was like a likable guy, or at least had some whatever charisma to him. Man, I'm blanking on that guy's name. But anyway, yeah, Andre Agassi. Wow, right on. What a name, too, Agassi. So, it's cool. I respect tennis players, except for LeBron James. No respect for that guy. In fact, I respect him too much to give him fake respect. What do you want me to do? Because you're a rich and famous celebrity. Fall down on the ground and worship you? No way. That's a rap song, Christian rap song. Everybody knows Andre Agassi in the chat. Thanks, man. Thanks, guys. Anyway, Christmas is over, guys. Unless you are Lin Yen Chin and it's Christmas every day of the year, because Christ with us. I will get to your calls, but I have some music for you. I don't have the lyrics for you. I think it's a great song. You may not, but the track is entitled, and this guy hates me. He blocked me on Facebook, the singer. Tell Me What You Want. Tell Me What You Want. It's from Human Television. I hope you enjoy it. It's from the early 2000s on Soft Abuse Records. I will be right back, guys, for hour 2. In the meantime, enjoy and hang tight. Hake listens to the same music as Antifa, says Sabata. Sergio the Music Boy. No, this is not Sergio Music Boy. He sounds in pain. Terrible song. If you like this music, you're high. America first, says Slam Free Poetry. Pavement. Pavement's a, I don't know, pretty good band. Respected anyway. Hake on bass, 2 strings on that guitar. Play that good music, white boy. 2000s classic rock. This is Soft Abuse. Pay attention. This kind of stinks. Sounds beta. This quote-unquote music is noise. Sounds like they have man bleeps. Beta tests. Estrogen tests. Says Miss. I'm trying to censor it. I don't want to say the word. Thank you, Misty. I can't stand indie sound, says Mike Gibson. What the heck is this beta music? Don't say heck, kids. Well, thank you guys for the feedback. Thank you for bearing with me through that beautiful music. I think that the singing was kind of endearing. It does sound kind of silly. Totally sounds Antifa-ish. What a mess. I don't want to say that, Kilo Alpha 1. Oh, man. Okay, yeah, I did hear that Cortez got the Rona, the China virus. What a ridiculous woman. Is she not? She should be ashamed of herself. But no, she doesn't have any shame. That's why she's a female congressman. Somebody compared her to a donkey. And that's how she acts. Only worse. Because she's supposed to be human. Really, really, really shameful. You know what? I have to pay my tributes to rest in peace, Bob Saget. Did you hear that Bob Saget died? You probably heard by now. His last tweet was like a nice, positive tweet. He had just performed over in Florida somewhere, Orange County, Florida, I think it was. In that county, right? Comedian and actor Bob Saget, S-A-G-E-T. What kind of name is that? Get a Job is not envious of that guy's name. Died at 65, the tender young age of 65. Look at his, he got kind of chunky a little bit. Doesn't look right. I remember I would sometimes watch that TV show called Full House. I was not a big fan of it, but I liked Bob Saget okay, and Uncle Jesse, the guy, who's that? What's that guy's name in real life? It's John Stamos. John Stamos is in the chat, by the way. I met John Stamos in the of the chat. Did you know that John's? Well, I don't want to dox him, but I met John Stamos at the men's conference, the Bond 11th annual men's conference, just this past year. Shout out to John Stamos in the chat. Is he still in the chat sometimes? Great guy. So rest in peace to Bob Saget. He was a comedian. He was an actor in this TV show sitcom, kind of wholesome-ish. Full House. He was also the host of America's Funniest Home Videos, which I enjoyed sometimes. Isn't that quaint? Home videos. Now it's like those things go viral a dime a dozen. You don't really have to, I don't know. It's crazy. Now we have the internet. Oh, don't say that, Misty, about John Stamos. Is that true? I mean, I'm not into that. Jesuit Crook says he took the booster November 28th. Who are you referring? To whom are you referring? Yeah, I did wonder about that, honestly. You know how it's all hyped to like universally get all these vaccines and booster shots. And I was just wondering, like, is anybody getting like medical tests about with their heart or different things? Because there are some known but rare side effects that sometimes happen with this thing, supposedly rare. I mean, with the universal thing, it's not going to look like it's that rare. And our eyes are like, it's like a reticular activator when somebody has a heart attack who seems young. I don't know if he had a heart attack. The cops found him dead in his hotel room right after, apparently after his performance that night, you know? What a shame. Orlando hotel room, 65, age 65. No signs of foul play or drug use. Was it a suicide? I don't know. It doesn't seem like him. Although, was I surprised by that other comedian who I don't like? He was in Hook. He was in that dumb, lame movie that had Elliott Smith singing a song in it. Yeah, Robin Williams. Was that surprising that he committed suicide? I was not a fan of him. Maybe he was not a fan of himself. But anyway, John Stamos, I appreciated him in those two things, but has Hake seen his stand-up? I have not seen his stand-up, nor am I interested in doing so, I don't think. Is anybody a fan of John Stamos' stand-up comedy? Press 1 if you are. Everybody's telling me Robin Williams. Thank you, man. Thank you, guys and gals. Press 1 if you're a fan of this guy's Bob Saget's comedy. Press 2 if you're totally not a fan. I press 2. I mean, I say 2. I mean, based only on the only hint that I got that he was a vulgar person was in Half-Baked. I saw him in Half-Baked, which I did not purposely watch that movie. It was a friend of mine who showed it to me, and I never got into that culture at all. Fricky Bicky gives a 1. A lot of people give 2s. Free Ross gives a 3, meaning he's like iffy on him. Yeah, Bob Saget, not John Stamos. I get them mixed up. But yeah, in this movie Half-Baked, which is a pot movie, I think it has that guy who was supposedly funny or at least truthful in the Netflix series. You got Dave Chappelle, right? Does it have Dave Chappelle in it? Half-Baked? Yeah. Not that you would know. But he was in that movie and all gross. He's like, I blank for pot. And I willingly blanked for pot. Or something like that. Shameful. Gross. But really, I saw him talking off the cuff after Norm Macdonald died. He was a fan and sort of a friend of Norm Macdonald, the Canadian Christian comedian guy, whom many of you respect, including me. After the fact, I wasn't really familiar with him prior. Yeah, exactly. For coke. Oh, not for pot. Yeah. But I can't help wonder about these people dying. A friend of mine, he too died. No, not he, but my friend's dad. He died at, roughly 65 as well, maybe 65 himself. He smoked a lot of cigarettes, but he had like a heart attack. And according to my friend, that whole family was vaccinated. My friend, I haven't asked him if he thinks that it's related at all. And he's pro-vaccine, so I don't know. Rest in peace to Bob Saget, Sidney Poitier, and my friend's dad. I don't want to speculate. But I do wonder. It's not good to speculate, guys. Don't believe stuff that's not true or that you don't know to be true. Including like you flat earthers. You don't know. You know what I mean? It was a movie, Hake. I know, but would you say that line in a movie? How much would you have to be paid to say that line in a movie? Or would you even sell yourself in that way to say such a filthy line out of your mouth? It's on film. And I can't get that picture out of my head. It changed how I see him. And I'm not typically that judgmental of a person. Maybe I am more judgmental than I realize. But it changed how I see Bob Saget after I saw him say that. Ugh. And if it changed how I see it, I'm a pretty kind of agreeable guy. Norm, greater than Saget. Yeah. So think about how the whole world judged that guy. Shameful. Scaremongering does hurt the economy. Did you know this? People accuse people who agree with me or who are maybe even more militant with me about being kind of leery of what these people are pushing, the different mandates and things. Well, the people who are pushing these different mandates, they're scared. They accuse us of scaremongering, conspiracy theories and different things, right? But they're scaremongering. This is from the Morning Brew. The Great Sick Out. Morning Brew is a far-left liberal email service. They send you the news in the mornings. The Great Sick Out. In workplaces across America, Americans who have supposedly the China virus, they call it COVID. That's the globalist term for it. Are asking their colleagues to cover for them while they're out sick. And when those co-workers can't because they have the China virus, you get the kind of severe economic disruptions the U.S. is facing right now. But I don't believe it's because they're sick. I believe it's because they're forced quarantines, and there are people who are forced out of their jobs, and we've had forced shutdowns. We've had problems. The U.S. is averaging about 650,000 supposed cases per day. Cases. And many of these are not severe at all, I don't think. More than double the peak during last winter's so-called surge. It's also likely a big undercount given how many people are testing positive using at-home tests and not reporting it, or who aren't getting tested at all, right? And good for those people. They're gaslighting, says Free Ross. Yeah. With so many people getting sick, up to 5 million U.S. workers were forced to stay at home. Forced. Yeah. Capital economics researcher Andrew Hunter calculated 5 million workers forced to stay home. 3% of the labor force knocked offline, right? Setting off a cascade of damaging effects across critical industries like so-called healthcare, which is a misnomer. That means the so-called medical industry. It's not healthcare. And so-called education, another misnomer. Education, more like indoctrination. About 20% of U.S. hospitals reported critical staffing shortages last week, the highest share since December 2020. And they don't admit that they knocked off a bunch of people. close to 1%, maybe less than 1%, maybe a little bit more, of staff who did not want to get the vax, many of them young. They don't think that they need it, right? One California superintendent taught a high school physics class last Monday after 300 teachers were absent from schools, primarily because they got infected. And these teachers are brainwashed to be all scared of the virus too. Oh, like testing positive is more scary to them than actually getting sick and suffering. Crazy. In the aviation industry, staffing shortages well documented. It's worth noting Alaska Airlines canceled 10% of its flights for the remainder of January. 10%? Unprecedented number of employees calling in sick. And that's why the CDC, partly, said, oh, we're shortening the quarantine period from 10 days to 5. Many low-wage workers are being forced to choose between going to work sick or losing out on a paycheck. Only 33% of workers in the bottom 10% in the wage bracket get paid sick leave compared to 95% in the top 10%. And while companies juiced up their paid leave policies earlier in the scamdemic, they're starting to wind them down. Walmart and Amazon, the two largest private employers in the United States, cut paid leave last week after the CDC shortened isolation guidance for infected people. Economists have likened the Omicron surge to a blizzard, a sharp, sudden shock to the economy that will take a big time to dig out from. But that's because of hype, not because it's actually damaging people so much. You know what I mean? Or requires these people to stay out so long. So they say it won't produce lingering effects. But the lingering effects are from these people who take it too far. Be like, oh, we need to shut down. They shut down. It's a big shame. And that's been happening for, what? Years. I saw this little meme from the CDC that I thought I would share with you. And I don't know, I don't think that this is, I think this may be photoshopped. I saw it on TKR officials Telegram, t.me/TKR official. Follow them. This is from the CDC. You may die, which is normal. And it has a picture of a woman with her mask on. Do you see this? Show this CDC meme. CDC, you may die, normal. In the main folder with a vaccine. And this is what they say. I don't think that this is a real slide, but it is what they say. Because it is expected that some will and may die in rare cases. By the way, there was a super chat that I don't know that I read, speaking of this thing. That's referring to the China virus vaccine, by the way. And I think that that is accurate information. They have said that they expect a certain number of people, but they don't care what they don't care about the collateral damage. They're pretending that the shutdowns were necessary and that the vaccines are necessary to reopen, which neither was true. You know what I mean? We didn't need to shut down in the first place. Asmodor with the super chat last week states, I won't take the vax nor drink the corn syrup because I hate the Antichrist. Well, thank you, Asmodor. I appreciate it. I think it's a meme. More super chats from Asmodor, by the way. Reports of myocarditis. 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Very low, very low, very low. Under 1,000, maybe even under 100. Or maybe under 200 at least for 2012, 2013, 2018. And then 2021, reports of myocarditis to VAERS, vaccine events, over like 11,000. And, you know, I have to imagine that many of those may be true. You know what I mean? Some of them maybe, because it's on people's minds, so they're thinking that it's from it. Or they're just not aware of it. But anyway. Asmodor with the super chat over there on Odyssey. ODYSEE.com/@the Hake Report. The Chai Coms are sending Hake these playlists. Is that a reference to my music? Is that a reference to my music? Maybe so. The Chinese communists. In fact, I will tell you, the guy who sings the guy from Human Television, the singer, I think he is part Asian. Interesting. And a liberal. Or at least he was a liberal. I became Facebook friends with him. I'm like, hey, I like your music. We became Facebook friends years ago. Back in the naive days of Facebook, right? And then later, I commented on something that he said. He was doing some rant, and I'm like, that's dumb. Or I said something conservative, and he flipped out and blocked me. I don't know if he's a Christian. But yeah, not the most manly of music, Human Television, but I think some of it's catchy. I enjoy it. Asmodor with another super chat. AOC, as in Cortez, Sandy Cortez, is the first carrier of the Eeyore variant. Eeyore being the cartoon donkey, depressed. Eeyore, nobody cares. From Winnie the Pooh. Don't insult Eeyore, Asmodor. The Eeyore variant of the China virus, which he calls COVID-19, to mock the globalists. What a shame. Asmodor states, it is a federal crime to post false info to the VAERS database. And I say VAERS, V-A-E-R-S, Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. And he states it is a federal crime to post false info to the VAERS Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System database. So when you hear all these liberals who say, I did not know that, Asmodor, thank you. When you hear all these, and I don't know, but I wonder if there is any way to track who these people are who are reporting this. I would have to assume that many doctors are doing it, many others are reporting on it. I have to assume that you can track down these people. And so when you hear these liberals say, ooh, I could go on the VAERS reporting system. I heard somebody on the Hippy Dippy podcast roundtable say, I could go on there and report that I got sawed in half from getting vaccinated. Well, that would be, according to what Asmodor is saying, and he is a truth checker, true fact checker, truth checker, and a resident historian. Shout out, man. That would be a federal crime. And rightly so. So these people who are saying, oh, VAERS is just unverified. Yeah, it is unverified, so-called unverified, by establishment outlets, if you trust them, like the CDC. Which, do you even trust the woman-led CDC? Even CNN is saying that CDC is a joke because they're mad. I forget what they're mad about. The CDC shortened the term of quarantine to like 5 days instead of 10, which is a good thing. Like, people should be happy about that. But CDC is being called a joke because the Democrats, the people are not fans of these shutdowns. The normal people, they know that the shutdowns are not necessary, I think. That's my suspicion. But yeah, thank you, Asmodor. I wish I had known that. Too bad I'm so ignorant. But I wish I had known that so I could have countered that guy, I'm really important, I'm very important, whatever his name is, who claimed, oh, I can report anything I want on the VAERS reporting system. Dismissing the VAERS reporting system. Hey! Nightwave Radio with a super chat states, your laptop is racist, offended and reporting. Smiley face. Thank you, man. Shout out to Nightwave Radio. I don't know if that's the true Nightwave Radio. I assume it is. I like to tune in. It's a cozy stream. Kind of reminds me of Nick's stream, the Anchor Baby. Check that out. It's in the evenings. Nightwave radio. Right on, man. Offended and reporting. Anyway, let me get to Jeff in Louisiana. He wants to talk about the so-called COVID cases. Jeff, how are you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. How you doing today, Nick? Shit, I'm sorry.
You're fine, man. I'm doing fine. He didn't mean to cuss. Hake's laptop is greater than Hunter's laptop. I hope so.
Yeah, man, but my thing is I worked healthcare for over 12 years.
Yeah.
So there's 52,000 deaths a year from the flu.
From flu,
and how was it? Yeah, from the flu. How was it the coronavirus peaks every year during flu season?
I guess
think about that.
I assume that it's because it is somewhat similar to the flu.
Well, no, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to go over rant here, try to give people something to think about. But think about Trump called it the China virus, correct?
Yeah.
You know why it's called China virus? Look at what our country's become now. Everybody's wearing a mask. What if the country wears a mask? Everybody, China. Where do we import all our goods from? China.
Yeah.
If you want to fix this country and stop the across the border stuff, open up some factories, move some of our stuff back from China.
Yeah.
Open factories up in Mexico, hire them people to work over there, and they could cross the border.
Yeah.
It's that simple. I mean, it's just that simple. Just, move our factories from overseas to over here and open up Mexico, and people have jobs, have money, have houses, have everything they want.
And deport the illegals. And cancel the work visas. And focus on the overstayed visas too. Send them back.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, man. We give everybody, we invite people over here and we give them all this money and stuff to live on. But what do we do to the people that fought for our country to give us the right to do all this? We throw them on the streets.
Yeah.
It's just wrong the way it's ran.
I didn't know you worked in the medical industry.
Yeah, man, I worked there for I don't know more, but I worked there from 2004 to 2011.
Okay.
I worked in hospitals for 4 years, and I worked at a blood center for 7 years.
Okay.
And you can't 4 years and 5 years, 6 years. But it's like we got all restrictions on stuff. Like, just as an example, we have no restriction on people that can vote. But if you have homosexual sex, you cannot donate blood.
Right. Especially if you have HIV or AIDS, right?
Yeah. Well, they test for HIV, AIDS, hepatitis, but
yeah.
They do a questionnaire when you donate blood. They do a questionnaire, and the questionnaire, one of the questions is, have you ever had homosexual sex?
Dang. Nice.
And if you've had homosexual sex, you cannot donate blood.
Good.
They send you right out there, and they say no.
Have they changed? Blood. Have they tried to change those rules? I feel like they've tried to change those rules.
No, man, that's one rule that stays because they have 53 questions to ask you when you donate blood.
Yeah.
And if you donate blood, like help another individual out, they ask those questions. If you go to a plasma center to sell your plasma and get money,
yeah,
they don't ask that. But if you donate blood to help somebody else out, and dude, that's being honest. That happened to my the day I was born. My grandma had a stomach staple surgery, and she got donated blood. They gave her hepatitis.
Oh wow,
man! So that's why I do that stuff. I ask them questions because they're getting more health conscious. But man, I ain't gonna hold you up. I know you got some more calls running this. We're making a day.
It's good to hear from you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
You too, man. Have a good one.
You too. All right. 2017 to 2018 season. Estimated deaths in the United States from influenza per flu season, right? 2017, 2018, meaning winter time, late fall, winter. 52,000 in the 2017 into 2018. 2018, 2019 was only 28,000. 2019, 2020 was 20,000. And it greatly diminished. And some say that it was primarily the China virus that was I don't know, that overtook it. I don't know. When I go on the internet, some people on the internet think that it's just the flu, bro. I think it's more than that, though. I think it probably came out of, I don't know, those Chinese, they leak stuff. I saw a report that even the CDC has been unprofessional. I wouldn't be surprised. Asmodor with another super chat. Anyone could submit a report to VAERS, Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, but healthcare providers are required to report adverse events. So the majority of reports are generated that way, most likely. Wow. Yeah, and the mainstream media is not interested in reporting the truth. If they were, they wouldn't be pretending that the Black Lives Matter have a valid complaint. Because Black Lives Matter complains, oh, blacks disproportionately shot by police. But they don't also say that blacks even more disproportionately killing police or committing murders or resisting arrest. Way disproportionately. And hating cops and having the children out of wedlock and all that mess. They would be pushing for black reform, not police reform, right? And I've heard that the police could stand some reform. The people in general, across the board, all races, could stand some reform. But they take the worst people and pretend they're the victims. Pfft, please. Let me get to another call. First-time caller Gabe in Michigan has a question. Gabe, thank you for calling, man. How are you?
Hey, good, Hake. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I called actually on the Jesse show the first time as well earlier this morning.
Oh, and, right on, man.
Thing, it was about that, getting that email. And, I mean, at this point, I kind of wanted
to... Tell my viewers and me about what email.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
I got an email this morning from my work stating that we have to provide proof of the vaccine status. And for sure, man, I would never get it. I would never let my kids. I'd never let my wife get it. Anybody in my family, I wouldn't let them get it. It's just my opinion.
Oh, how old are you?
I'm about, 38? So
okay.
Roughly your age, give or take.
Are you fit or fat?
No, I'm fit, but
okay.
I was definitely a beta when I was calling in. I don't know. It just reminded me of what my.
You were a beta when you called into the Jesse show earlier. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I started tearing up because I was remembering of how my dad fought to get to this country. Pretty much he fled Romania, got here, left his family, and brought his whole family here. And
was Romania a communist country? Why did he flee Romania?
Yes, it was communist, and we're Christian Baptist, and we at the time I believe my grandpa was the one who got persecuted heavily.
Oh.
And my dad was like, "Hey, I gotta find a way for my family to make it out of here." Because at that point, they were literally killing Christians in the street.
Wow. And these were the commies doing that?
Yeah.
Decades back. Were you born in?
Yeah.
Are you Romanian, or were you born in Romania?
I'm American,
yeah.
But yes, I was born in Romania.
So your family were Romanians prior?
Yes.
Okay.
Once we got to Austria, then we applied to come to the U.S. and we got here legally.
Nice.
And it was good. I mean, it was the best answer to prayer we could have gotten, because a lot of us either would have gotten to Canada or Australia.
Okay.
And both not the best place to be now.
True.
So.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
You were born in this.
That,
I forget what you said. Were you born in this country or in Romania?
No, I was born in Romania. I was there till about 7 or 8.
Okay.
And then went to Austria for about a year, and then came to the United States.
So, do you speak? What do Romanians speak? I'm sorry if I'm asking silly questions, but I'm curious.
No, we speak Romanian. It's kind of like a Italian, Spanish-based language, a little bit of Slavic.
Okay. Interesting. So do you still speak that? Do you still know it?
Yeah, I do. And when I was in the Army, I decided to serve back in 2005, and it actually came in handy.
Oh, right on. That's cool, man.
And then, I even had to learn another language, Russian at the time. So I got to learn both, and there were some similarities. But I'm glad I grew up there.
Yeah.
But I'm more grateful that I'm here.
I bet.
And I mean, with this email, up to this point, I haven't been in my head as much, but lately, been listening to these thoughts, and it's been bad. So I realize, like, it's whatever happens. God will provide. It doesn't matter,
right,
if it's going to be through this job or through another job. I have no idea, and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know why all of a sudden it got to me this morning, because I my friends, they all have similar issues.
What got to you this morning?
That stupid little email is like, why do you care that I'm vaxxed or not? And
the email, you received it this morning, and that got into your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So
And,
you got captured by fear and shock and worry.
Yep.
Interesting.
100%. And it was through an email. It wasn't even through like somebody in my face. I mean, I would rather be somebody in my face.
I bet. Yeah, for sure.
you can deal with that.
Yeah. Well, did you ask Jesse about this too, Jesse Lee?
Yeah, and I think he gave really good advice, because I said, well, what if you were in that situation? He said, I don't know. When you're there, you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
Paraphrasing, and I think that's probably the best. I mean, I know I'm never going to get the vax, at least, and I'm not going to let anybody in my family get it either.
Right.
My wife lost her job because of it, but literally that same week, God provided another job for her.
Nice.
And
you have children?
4 kids.
Wow, nice. White babies?
Yeah. What's that?
White babies?
Yeah, white babies.
Nice, man. Sons first? Do you have a son first? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I've got an 11-year-old son, 9-year-old daughter, 7-year-old daughter, and then 2.5-year-old son.
Wow, congrats, man. That's cool. Beautiful family. Yeah, stay alpha.
I got it. I mean, at this point,
alpha.
No matter what.
Yeah. I've known some people who have faced these different mandates and things. Look into taking the steps. I know a lot of people disagree with me, or one person I know who's called disagrees with me, but take the proper steps. Submit a request for exemption is what I think maybe you should do. I think you should do, but your situation better than I. But if it were me, obviously they have to give you either a religious or medical exemption, I'm pretty sure, right? So submit one of those. I have some friends. One friend didn't want to give any of his medical history to his work, so he's submitted for a religious exemption. And I think that he got it, and he had to shave his face, shave his beard off, wear that mask every day, 8 hours, 10 hours a day. But you jump through their hoops a little bit, but you protect your temple, your body, right? Some people don't even believe in the mask thing, like they refuse. And okay, if you refuse, but still respect and show respect to the works and your appreciation for those people who are your employers. But take it easy, keep it cool, and if you submit a request, don't keep asking about it, because you're just going to call attention to yourself, And some people get all high and mighty, like make a display out of it, and they bring undue attention on them, and then they're bringing unnecessary trouble on themselves. There's a smart way to go about these things, where you, the Bible even says, lead a quiet life, and as loud and truthful and straightforward and disruptive as JLP can be, he's also pretty quiet sometimes. Like he's not out there gossiping and backbiting and being all demonstrative over when it doesn't even fit. There are people who are unwise, who are grandstanders, who are on our side, and they bring trouble upon themselves and the rest of us, honestly, sometimes. So keep it cool, and your thoughts do lie to you. You know, I have not. This is one of the things that JLP says a lot, that all thoughts are lies. It's something that I've never rejected, but never got, but I've pondered it. And the more I pay attention, the more I realize, man, I think it's true, because it is Satan. It is darkness. It is not staying with what you know. It's going into your imagination and God. Jesus said, "Do not worry." It's in the Bible, so it's a fact. It's a fact. Do not worry. It's a commandment or something. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I would never. I mean, even with the mask, I choose not to wear it. That's on me.
Okay.
If they're going to make it a big deal, I mean, with the mask, I don't really care to make it a big deal. Most of my coworkers, except one, knows that I chose not to get it. I don't talk to them about it. I generally just leave it out of the blue.
Right.
If one wants to talk to me about it, that's great. But like you said, I'm not. I don't need to be a troublemaker at that place. They provided me, the opportunity to work and provide for my family, and I'm truly grateful for that.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. No hard feelings. I move on. I have to respect that that's the business decision that they made. It may not agree with my decision, and then I've got to do something else. I can't force them to or accept me, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because then they're going to do that for everybody, and no matter what. I honestly, whatever God provides from this point forward, or I accept it. If I'm meant to be, with a lesser job or whatever, He's going to provide the food. He's going to provide the meals. He's going to provide everything for me and my children. I have no doubt in that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, so I don't recommend quitting.
No.
Yeah, just if they end up needing to fire you, have a good attitude even about that and show appreciation for what you did get. And you sound like you have, it's a sink or swim situation. You got a family to take care of. You'll find a way.
Oh, for sure. Definitely will. I appreciate it. You take care, and God bless you guys.
All right. Thank you, Gabe. Take care. Let me tell you about a few headlines that I've seen here. Jim Jordan. I'm always leery about these politicians. I don't know much about Jim Jordan. I have heard criticisms of Jim Jordan from, for example, Cernovich on Twitter, who's like a center-left guy. I think he's generally pro-America. But Jim Jordan is a representative out of, Indiana or something like that. He was a former wrestling coach, former wrestler himself. He pretended to be pro-Trump. I don't know. Oh, Iowa. Really, Iowa? How come Jim Jordan, Representative Jim Jordan, didn't stand up for his fellow Iowan? Did he stand up for his fellow Iowan, Congressman Steve King? Jim Jordan, Steve King. Did he stand up for him? Oh, I search it, and sure enough, January 16, 2019, according to Grabian's a decent outlet. What Steve King said was, quote-unquote, wrong and, quote-unquote, terrible. Wow, shame on you, man. Jim Jordan. Makes me want to spit, but this is Jesse Lee Peterson's studio, so I shall not spit purposely. I almost spit. I didn't almost spit, but I really thought about spitting. I even gestured like I was going to spit. He said that he won't cooperate with the January 6th committee as it is not fair-minded and objective. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. But you're not fair-minded or objective to call Steve King wrong or terrible back in 2019. Apologize. Jim Jordan, he's a congressman. He's a Republican purportedly from Iowa. Ohio? Maybe Ohio. Some of you guys might be telling me. Ohio. Thank you, Free Ross. One of those four-letter states. Hey, James Biden, it's Ohio, not Iowa. Whatever, man. But thank you. Well, that's fine. You shouldn't cooperate with this stupid January 6th committee unless you record it and stream it, right? And just put these evil people in their place, the fake rhinos which is like a redundant to say, and the Democrats who are on this January 6th unselect committee at smearing Americans. You know what I mean? Give me a break. So right on, I guess, Jim Jordan, whatever. I saw this from Yahoo News. Overwhelming majority of Americans say the U.S. faces a mental health crisis, according to a new poll. I'll say the liberals think that the conservatives are mentally ill, and the conservatives know that the liberals are mentally ill, and many of the conservatives too, so-called conservatives, are mentally ill too. But it's spiritual illness, spiritual death. And I don't just mean gay, as in homosexual. There's more than one way to be spiritually ill and mentally, spiritually wrong. The picture of this is so funny. Mental health crisis. It has this brown girl crying all broken up, and she's holding a torn picture with a man inside of it. A man inside the photograph. Zoom in on that face, all crying, looking like Cortez or something. And her hair is a mess. And she's sitting on a couch in a beautiful apartment or something like that with IKEA furniture. And it has a man smiling, and it's a torn photograph of a man. And what, she's broken up because she tore off the man. It's so funny. It's got to be a stock photo, I'm assuming. Speaking of mentally broken up women and women who should not be speaking, Michelle Obama wading back into politics. Ridiculous. Michelle Obama is the black female, almost said husband, wife to Barack Obama. And she has an urgent message about this year's midterm elections, 2022. She said, we've got to vote like the future of our democracy depends on us. And she wrote a letter called Fight for Our Vote, published Sunday as an ad in the failing New York Slimes. And she has a voting rights organization, which is no such thing, When We All Vote, meaning she wants every idiot to vote liberal, meaning communist, meaning anti-white, anti-American, anti-man. Big Mike, says Super Dave. I don't get into that stuff. That's rumors, man. That's gossip. That's speculation. You guys are shameful. Yeah, and it was, by the way, this letter, Congress has yet to move on voting rights legislation at the federal level. You're evil. We don't have national integrity. As I said in the Hippy Dippy Roundtable thing, we don't have national integrity. We're letting every idiot come into the country who doesn't even have our values. Sorry, kids and parents. Am I wrong for saying idiot? Should I keep on saying sorry if I'm not really sorry, but I feel like maybe I should apologize? Think maybe I'm wrong? But really, these people they don't have real values. As John, I think, from somewhere called in and said, we are a Christian nation. These people aren't for Christians, they're against Christians. They come in here and turn around and call whites racist. I'd like to see how whites fare in their country. Yeah, sometimes whites are pandered to because whites have the money, or they're generally polite and patron businesses and tip well and all that stuff, especially Americans tip well. And they're not so disruptive and destructive and all that stuff. But in many ways, they get mocked and caricatured and all that stuff and hated. Americans are kind of hated because a lot of people are hoity-toity against us. And then they feel like some of us are arrogant or whatever. Give me a break. So we don't have national integrity. We have all these people coming into the country. We have liars and brainwashed liberal female teachers and female-minded male teachers brainwashing the so-called American children to be anti-American So we don't have a educated, informed, moral, high character, high standards electorate. We're not enlightened anymore. You know what I mean? And her letter was signed by 30 other so-called civic engagement, voting rights, and voter mobilization organizations, including the NAACP, which is worse than the KKK. It's a fact. Jesse Lee Peterson has stated it. Stacey Abrams's, that evil woman who can't admit that she lost against Brian Kemp, Rhino. Stacey Abrams, the fat black woman. Fair Fight Action, Vote Latino Foundation, Next Gen America, LeBron James's More Than a Vote, and Rock the Vote. Rock the Vote is supposed to be a pun off Rock the Boat. Did you know that? We stand united in our conviction to organize and turn out voters in the 2022 midterm elections. They hate real Americans. This woman hates real Americans. What a phony. You know what I mean? Speaking of transgenders, and I'm not saying, Michelle, anything. I'm just saying those people were pro-transgender. Barack Obama put transgenders in the military, so don't be getting it twisted. But speaking of transgenders, one little headline for you guys. This is from Outkick. Outkick is a reasonable outlet. And it's an Olympics headline. I don't know what month or year this was from, but it says Penn's, as in Penn State's, transgender swimmer lost to Yale's transgender swimmer in a hotly contested women's Ivy League 100-meter race. So two male to wannabe female transgenders swam against each other in a women's Ivy League, because Penn State and Yale, is it Penn State that's the Ivy League school? And Yale University is a Ivy League, meaning hoity-toity, brainwashed, arrogant, so-called anti-American university school, college, whatever. Swimming 100-meter race. So two transgenders, how embarrassing. What a joke. And they're supposed to be in pursuit of truth and rigor, intellectual rigor. So intellectual that you rationalized a lie and a delusion to be acceptable reality that we need to pander to. What a shame. Jupiter's speculating about Serena Williams. I reject that. This is what I'm telling you guys. I'm warning you, don't get into that. It may be funny to joke about it a little bit, but don't get into that speculation about stuff that you don't know. Terrible stuff. In the last 5 minutes or so here, let me tell you this sad? I don't know. So-called transgender story. I've been teasing it for a few days, I think. I saw this, it was posted on Twitter. I presume that it's a Reddit post. Reddit's that far-left outlet. Reddit is a far-left social media platform. Sometimes there's some interesting statements on there. The Donald was famously banned. The Donald being the biggest pro-Trump platform on Reddit, banned for being too truthful, I guess. This is a cry for help from a purported detransitioned person, meaning a person who went transgender and then decided to be real. I forget whether it's a girl or a boy. As I read, you'll figure it out. Here's the headline. I'm not doing well. It's 5 a.m. and I can't stop crying. Must be a girl. I hope so. Hi, it's been a hot minute. I'm not doing well. It's a cry for help. I'm about to hit the 1-year mark of questioning the validity of my transition and ultimately deciding to detransition. So this person was thought that he or she was actually a she or a he instead of a he or a she. I was on T for 3 years, meaning testosterone. Okay, so this was a woman or a young lady or a girl. Might have been a minor, believe it or not. My last shot of Nebido, Nebido, presumably a prescription transgender thing. Testosterone, thank you guys. was in November of 2020. Wow. Presidential election. Did you vote for Trump, lady? I've had normal hormone values since August this year. I'm about to turn 22. Wow. So from like 18 or 19 years old? Wow. Everything about my transition felt right until last year, shortly before turning 21. It felt like something in my mind fell into place, and I realized I no longer liked what my transition was doing to me. Transition means when you try to make yourself look and feel and act more physically like a male when you're really a female, in this woman's case. I started questioning if it had been worth it at all. This year has been easily the worst year of my life. I am mourning my voice and body. She has a deep voice. I can't stop. I'm making a joke about it, but it's reality that this person has to live with. I cracked. I grew up bullied and always feeling different. I couldn't relate to girls, meaning she was a girl but couldn't relate to other girls. Nobody can relate to each other. In books, shows, movies, I'd always find myself wishing I was the male protagonist. It just made sense the way I was supposed to be a guy. It wasn't until this year, this is a Zoomer, and some very heavy conversations with friends that I discovered I wasn't alone in feeling these things. Several of my friends who are cisgender women and haven't questioned their gender at all, or haven't questioned it and came out to the conclusion that they are women, or have questioned it and came to the conclusion they are women, have felt the very things I felt. Disgust toward their own bodies, especially their breasts during puberty, feeling like they don't belong with other girls and women in general. Yeah, women don't like each other. Wishing they could have been born male, feeling completely alien to women in shows and movies, and feeling like they are alone in feeling these things. I feel so dumb for thinking I needed to be fixed in order to have a good life. Wow. Crazy, huh? It goes on. I'll read a little bit more. I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't changed my name and identity. I wonder what if I would have been fine. I transitioned socially at 15 years old. Where are the parents? Psh, I wish I would have gotten help for my depression. It's not real, lady. Much earlier. I've started thinking I might be autistic. Everybody thinks they're autistic. But girls can't be autistic, right? I'm half kidding. Which might explain several parts of my life. I wish my life would have turned out that way different. Now here I am. I've got the voice of a man or a teen going through puberty. An Adam's apple. Oh, terrible. A prominent brow ridge. A beard. Oh, terrible. I wonder if she's going to watch me reacting to her. Probably laugh. A ton of body hair. A receding hairline. At 22 years old. Bottom growth. Gross. No breasts. Big scars across my chest. Weirdly colored chest parts, things. I used to love singing. I pick up my guitar off the wall once a week, at least play my heart out. Now I can't finish a song without crying. I've got a male range, and I don't think it's getting any better. Terrible. Always felt unlovable. Really, I think I've really managed to make my dating pool microscopic. Because nobody wants to be around that. That's like crazy. If I would have just left my body alone, I would have been fine, she thinks. Now I feel like I'm damaged goods. Can't erase the scars. And it doesn't help that I feel hated for detransitioning, or the transgenders, the radical transgenders, turn on these people. Oh, it's not a choice. What a mess, huh? What a miserable mess. You gotta just accept reality, lady. Anyway, the calls, I cannot get to you. Rick in Hampton, Virginia, wanted to get to New York, allows non-citizens to vote. I know, it's ridiculous. But anyway, guys, I appreciate it. This has been the Hake Report. We are at 11. So I shall see you hopefully tomorrow. Robert Durst died. Rest in peace, Robert Durst. He was supposedly convicted of murder. Well, I don't know if it's supposed, it's reported. And he was a real estate scion? Not to be confused with the Sion, our friend. Anyway, guys, don't worry about it, ex-transgenders. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Thanks, guys. Take care.